Hello designers, you're welcome to another tutorial. In this tutorial we'll be making this dress. It's an halter neck backless dress. So the measurements I'll be needing are the dress length, which is 45, the waist length 23, and the neck depth, which is 6 inches. For the calculation, to get the length I need, for the front, I'm going to say 45 inches minus 6 inches. So that gives me 39. So that will be the length for the front piece. While for the back piece, I'm going to say 45 inches minus 23 inches, which is the waist length, which is 22 inches. So for the back, because it starts from the waist down to the knee area, so it's going to be shorter. So that makes it 22. Then this dress length, you can make yours a top. It can be a top. Just insert the top length and insert it anywhere you see the 45. You insert the length you want, or if you're not up to 45 in length, you can insert it and get the length you need. Basically, that's the calculation I need for the front length and the back length. Then to fold my fabric, I can decide to fold it into a triangle as if I want to cut a semicircle flare. So I can measure my length this way. If it will be up to your length, let's say you're making a top, of course it will be up to. If you're making a dress, if your dress is not up to my length, then you can go ahead. But this will not take the length I need. It's not up to 45, and I'll still add seam allowances. So I won't be folding it this way. But this way is fuller and it will look like a flare dress. I'll be folding mine on in a bias form. I'm going to slant the fabric this way. I'll fold the fabric into two, selvedge to selvedge, but I'll make one higher than the other. So about 7 inches, there about 6 inches, you can make it higher or lower. So I'm going to slant it this way to cut it on bias. And at the end of the day, it's going to be like an A-line dress. It won't be full like a circle dress. So if you want it full like a circle dress, then you can go ahead and cut it the first method I did. So at the center here, which is on fold, I'm going to pin it down. I'm going to use about 3 pins to hold it down so that it doesn't move around. Then at the top here, I'm going to draw a straight line so that will guide me as the starting line. So this length now is my original length. So I need to add my seam allowances to this length. I'm going to do another calculation. At the top where I have the line, I'm going to make a casing, which I'll pass my fabric, the one I'll tie on the neckline. So at the top there, I'm going to have 1.5 inches to make the casing, while at the hem, I'm going to use 1 inch to tidy the hem. So that will be 1.5 plus 1, that's 2.5. So I'll add 2.5 to the front length and 2.5 to the back length. So this is what I have. I have 41.5 for the front and 24.5 for the back after adding my seam allowances. At the back to at the top, I'm going to make a casing to pass my elastic. So that will be 1.5 too, and the hem will be 1 inch. So the front and the back, I'll be adding 2.5 inches. I hope it's clear. So now I'll be using the derived measurements now after adding my seam allowances. That is what I'll use to cut my front and my back. So I'll measure what I need here. I'm cutting the front here. So from that straight line, I'll measure what I need. I'll mark it. But I notice my line is not very straight because after marking it at the down part there, one was higher than the other. So I'll go back to that straight line and redraw it, make it a bit straight, a bit perfect. It was slanted. So now I'm going to use this new line to get the length I need. Whether you're making a top or a dress, just measure the length you have after adding seam allowances. Then I'm going to cut it out because this fabric is 6 yards, so it's kind of dragging the fabric. So I'll cut that first line, the upper line. So I'll cut the upper line and the lower line. I'll just cut it out and continue with this one. So this is the length I need. Now for the neck width, I'm going to use about 8 inches. You can use 10 inches also, because by the time you pass the rope, it will gather it for you, so it doesn't mean. But if you are plus size, you can use 10 inches. But if you are average size, you can use 8 inches. So at the down part there, I'll just connect it straight to the end of the down parts. Whatever I have there, I'll just connect it straight down there. At this point, try to confirm the bust area and the hip area. Be sure it will size you, because this one is not a flare, it's just like a line. You need to confirm that it will size you. So before cutting, confirm the bust area. Just pass the tape rule across. Calculate if it will size you after sewing. The hip area, measure it. If it will not, then use 10 inches, not 8 inches at the neckline place. So this is my front now. I'll be doing another calculation here to get the length I'm going to leave from the upper part of the dress to the waist area. So the waist length is 23. I'll minus 6 inches, which is the neck depth. So I have 17 inches. And then I'm going to add the 1.5 inches I'm going to use to make the casing at the top of the front. So that makes 18.5 inches. So from the top there, I'm going to measure the 18.5. So that part, I won't be attaching the back piece there. That part is going to be the front, the side of the front. I'll just fold it and stitch it, while the remaining part of the dress from that 18.5 down is where I'm going to attach the back piece. I hope you understand why I'm marking this 18.5. So I'm going to fold the fabric into two and notch it. You notch the two parts of the fabric, the two sides of the fabric. Just do as I'm doing. You understand when we get to the sewing parts and all that. So at this folded part, I'm measuring the 18.5 again, just to draw a straight line. Now I'm going to fold the fabric again. I'll slant it. So for the back now, we are now going to use our derived measurements, the one we did initially. So that's what we are going to use. That's about 24.5 inches. After adding seam allowances for the top to make the casing and for the hem to fold it. So now I'm going to measure my 24. I'll place the front piece on it so that I can get the same shape. And then I'll measure 24.5 on the front piece and on the fabric underneath. So wherever the 24.5 gets to on the front piece, I'll mark the same on the fabric underneath. So I'm using this to cut the back, and then by the side I'm going to trace it out. The hem, I'm going to trace it out. Make sure it's on fold at the center there. The new one you want to cut, make sure it's on fold too. So now I'm going to lift the front piece, and that place I marked, I'm going to draw a straight line and then cut it out. I'm going to draw a line on the back part so I can identify the front and the back of the fabric. So that is why I always draw those two lines. So here I can measure my waist. Like I said earlier, before you even start cutting the front, measure your waist and measure your hip. So here I'm just showing you how you will do that, but make sure you do that before you cut your front. You measure your waist here, measure your hip here, make sure it's your size before you even cut the front. I'm just showing you. And if it's not your size, by the side here you can add about 2 inches. That was why I said you can use 10 inches instead of 8 inches if you're doing mine like a line. But if you're doing it like a flare, it will surely size you because it will be big and full enough. So I'm going to place the back piece on the front piece, and at the hem there by the side I'll measure 1 inch and slant it back towards the middle of the hem. I'm just trying to make sure that this side is no longer. When you wear anything A-line or flare, when you wear it, the side can be longer if you don't trim out part of the side. So that is why I'm removing this 1 inch by the side. At the end of the day, it won't even show. It will just be round. It won't show that you removed anything. Now I'm going to cut the piece of fabric that I will use for the tying of the neckline. I'll be joining 2 pieces of fabric. I'm just using the fabric I'm just using the fabric I cut off earlier. I don't want to cut from the 6 yards of fabric, so I'm going to have a joining. That is why I'm cutting 2 pieces. You can cut just one long strip of fabric if you want, but me, I want to make it 2 pieces. So for the length, I'll be using about 33 inches for each one. So I have 66 inches at the end of the day. While for the width, I'm going to be using just 2 inches for that, so that when I fold it, at the end of the day, it will end up being half an inch. After making the strip, it will end up being half an inch. So that is why I'm using 2 inches. If you want yours bigger, you can use about 3 inches. So I'm going to cut it now. The edge of the fabric, the self edge where you have that white piece, I'm going to cut it out. I didn't measure it with my 2 inches. I didn't add it to my 2 inches. So I'm going to take it out. I don't want it. These are the 2 pieces. I'm going to mark it just to know where the back is. So this, I'm going to join it there with half an inch. Then after joining it, if yours is not 2 pieces, you don't need to join. But mine, I want to join. So after joining it, I'll then fold it like a bias. I'll fold it like a bias and sew it. Then I'm going to turn the back. This is the back part. You can see the 2 lines. This is the front piece, but this is the back of the fabric. You can see the 2 lines. So I'm going to open it this way. This is the front piece. At the top there, the neckline area, I'm going to fold it ½ inch by 1 inch. Remember, I'm making a casing for the rope to tie the neckline. So that is where the rope will pass through. That is why I have 1.5 inches up there. And then where I notched earlier, I'm going to make the notch a little longer, about 0.75 inch. Then by the side there, I'm going to fold it 0.25 by 0.25. That's like 0.5. Or if you want to make it bigger, you can make it ½ inch by ½ inch. That will make your slanting to be 1 inch. You can fold it as tiny as you want, and if you want it bigger, like ½ an inch, you can fold half by half. So you fold the 2 sides and stop where you made your notch. Don't fold it all the way down. This is the back piece. This is the back part of the fabric. You can see my 2 lines. Then the upper part there, I'm going to make another casing, ½ inch by 1 inch. Remember, I will put 1.5 inches there. So ½ inch you fold, then you fold 1 inch. That is where we'll pass our elastic for the back. That is all for now. I'll continue it later.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please kindly like, share, comment, subscribe if you're new here, and click the notification bell. Thank you.